I'm Matt Dahlgren, Director of Brand Marketing at Capcom.
So Matt, why did you decide to launch the Capcom Cup originally?
So this is our third Capcom Cup and the end of the second season of the Capcom Pro Tour. What the Capcom Cup is, it's our end of the year finale for the Capcom Pro Tour. We decided to launch this once we kind of evolved our stance and wanted to take more of a leadership position within the esports space for Street Fighter. Thus far we've been welcomed with open arms from our fans. They really love what we've been doing, so very excited to be here today for the third Capcom Cup.
How has the tournament grown over the years?
We've been seeing massive growth. So for Season 2 of the Capcom Pro Tour, we've achieved about 200% growth from the previous year. We got over 40 million impressions when you add everything all up. And all of that was accomplished on the Street Fighter 4 franchise. So the game's been out for a long time, and we expect some considerable growth once Street Fighter 5 launches next year in February.
What does having the Capcom Cup be part of PSX bring to the table?
First and foremost, amazing production values. We're here. We get to take advantage of the stage that Sony had their keynote on. Sony's been a great partner for Street Fighter 5. It's a long-term strategic partnership, and Sony's really putting forward all of the best moves to make sure that they are the home of fighting games.
And how do you see your Sony relationship evolving with Street Fighter 5?
So we're going to be on their platform exclusively throughout the lifespan of the PlayStation 4. Sony's really been great in being flexible on allowing us to execute things like cross-platform play. And I would say if both of us keep pushing and want to grow the esports space for fighting games, that it's going to be a very exciting 2 to 3 years for all of our Street Fighter fans.
Now, Street Fighter is always introducing new variations or sequels for the franchise. How does this impact the tournament?
Well, I would say it's very common for any sort of competitive game to have a long lifespan, and it's important for us to continually produce content to kind of support our community and allow them to grow. So I don't think that's necessarily isolated for just Street Fighter, it's just more for competitive games. I will say that we have been evolving our stance, and we have come up with a new business model for Street Fighter 5, and we're now going to be releasing characters at a regular cadence, and balance adjustments are going to be made available free of charge, and then all in all, I think it's going to be a system that's a lot more friendly for our players. We do pay attention, and we are going to be balancing the game around the Capcom Pro Tour, so we'll make sure that we're not putting in any sort of significant changes before a major event like an EVO or a Capcom Cup, and if we do large-scale balances, it'll be in our downtime from the Capcom Pro Tour in January or February.
What impact do you feel Street Fighter 5 will have on the franchise as an esport next year?
I think we're just getting started. As I said before, we've achieved massive growth on a game that's been out for 6 to 7 years. With a brand new game like Street Fighter 5, I feel like we're going to see exponential growth over the next 2 to 3 years.
MOBAs tend to be complicated for people to follow. Fighting games are very accessible. What impact do you see the Capcom Cup having in the overall esports ecosystem?
So I like to compare kind of the esports franchises to the actual regular sports franchises. If you look at like MOBAs, I think they have a very strong team mentality to them, so I think it's kind of comparable to like a Dota or a League of Legends. For Street Fighter, I think we're much more like a boxing or a mixed martial arts. So I think team sports have, like, there's a lot of people that follow them. They have massive fan bases, and a lot of people like to rally around their teams. However, I think 1v1 competition is truly unique, and I think that is, there's certain players out there that have certain personalities where that really strikes a chord with them. They don't really want to share the stage with anyone else. They want to be the best themselves, so it's less about a team, it's more about them rising to the top. And I think that's really what makes fighting games very unique.
So PCs have been the central focus for esports with bigger events. Where all do you see console games playing esports today, and how that might grow?
So I definitely think that the console esports space is going to grow. That's part of the reason why we have the partnership in place with Sony for Street Fighter 5, is Sony is starting to pay attention and starting to be a much more active player in the space. I know they've also made some announcements around what they're doing with the Call of Duty franchise as well. So I think PCs may have had it first. I think a lot of the games that were traditionally esports games just played best on the PC. But I think consoles are definitely going to see a rise in the next few years for sure.
What have you guys learned from past Street Fighter games you're applying to Street Fighter 5?
Oh, we have learned a ton. As I mentioned before, we've completely revamped the way that we're handling our content delivery system. So before how we manage things, we would produce full compilation packs of content and release everything all at once, and that had a lot of downsides to it, and that's kind of how we got our reputation for having super editions and ultra editions. This time around, we're treating the game much more like a service, so all of our balance adjustments are free of charge. This is the only disc that you're ever going to need to own, and players aren't going to have to wait a whole year before they get new content drops. And all in all, I think this is going to be a very progressive model that allows players to stay more engaged with our product and always have something right around the corner that they're looking towards. In terms of our gameplay itself, we are kind of going back to our roots. We came up with a new system called the variable system, which we think is very accessible for new players, and it also brings out the individuality of each of the characters on the cast. So all in all, I think Street Fighter V is a game that it took all of the previous games in our franchise to come up with, and we're very proud with the product that we've developed.
So how do you guys go about determining the roster of the new game?
So that was probably one of the most heated debates internally when we were coming up with it. One of the things that we did was we ran this huge character poll. We asked all of our fans to vote on it, and they basically listed in order what the most popular characters were. We used that as a good frame of reference. However, we didn't follow that to a T because in a lot of ways I feel like our job isn't just to give the fans what they expect. I think our job is to really exceed their expectations. We started with a core roster here of 16 characters. 4 of those are brand new to the franchise. 4 of them are returning characters that you didn't see in Street Fighter 4. And then we picked 8 classic characters, which are kind of like our World Warrior characters that everyone would expect to be in the franchise. And I think this is a really good mix that provides a lot of variety. It's a lot different than Street Fighter 4, and we're pretty proud with the roster we came up with.
What are your thoughts on the Capcom Pro Tour's growth?
I mean, I'm extremely excited for next year. I mean, we've accomplished a lot in our first 2 seasons, and a lot of that was for a game that's been out for a long time. And really, part of the main reason we created the Capcom Pro Tour was to kind of forge the future of esports for the fighting genre. And I think we're off to a great start. We're starting to make the right moves in terms of how we're handling the esports space, as well as the right moves in how we're handling our product. So I'm very optimistic for the future of fighting games.
Talk about how esports has impacted the development of the game.
So this is Street Fighter V is the first game that Capcom has developed with esports in mind from its inception. We've built out the Capcom Fighters Network, which is going to be a tool that players can have to really up their game. The amount of data that players are going to be able to analyze this time around is far more than they've had in the past. There's going to be a lot of like you can track your favorite players online, check out their replays. And then also we're completely revamping how we handle our leaderboard system, and we have ambitions of having a very strong online component for the Capcom Pro Tour in the future as well. So I think all of those combined we're going to see, or Street Fighter V is really a game that takes esports to its heart.
And how have you seen the Madcatz Fightstick impact the Street Fighter scene?
Well, Madcatz is a huge supporter of the fighting game scene, and we're very happy to partner with them on Street Fighter V. I believe they have the best peripherals on the market, especially when it comes to fight sticks. So, I mean, a lot of their support has kind of helped us rise over the years. They've been giving fight sticks to players at events and supporting the local scenes for a very long time. So we're very happy to have them as a partner.
So do you have a favorite Street Fighter V character and why?
Well, my favorite Street Fighter, I would say Dhalsim. I think I really like Dhalsim's play style, and I really like his redesign. That's the character that synergizes really well with me.
What does Next Gen Harbor open you guys up creatively for the franchise?
Well, now one, online play. So we're going to have a better online infrastructure for Street Fighter than we've ever had in the past, and I think not having really great online play is one of the things that's kind of held Street Fighter back in the past. So very excited to have a brand new online infrastructure. We also are able to run off of Unreal Engine 4. The game looks absolutely fantastic. and then we can execute things like cross-platform play. So this is going to be the first game where our community is united into a centralized player base, and that's not something that we were technically able to accomplish in the past.
Now, do you think the 3D models in Unreal Engine are the future of fighting games? Do you think sprites are dead?
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be other companies out there that make games using sprites. I wouldn't call them dead. I believe Street Fighter looks best in the format that we have just now, and the 3D models look exceptional. But I mean, I think there's always going to be a place for sprites in certain players' hearts, and certain companies will do that. But right now, we really like the look and feel that we have of Street Fighter V.
And when can people start street fighting in Street Fighter V?
You can start, you can get your fight on February 16th. The game's right around the corner. Be sure to check it out. We also have upcoming beta phases. So if you pre-order the game, you can get access to the game early. So yeah, definitely check it out.